The coral genus Euphyllia has within it three major types commonly found in our hobby: the torch, hammer, and frogspawn. I'll be talking about some of the differences between them and how to propagate them. Euphyllias are interesting because they're stony corals, but are very fleshy and display a great deal of motion similar to soft corals. The easiest way I've found to differentiate them is looking at how their tentacles terminate at their tips. Sometimes it's difficult telling them apart because they come in a variety of colors and patterns, and it's possible to have, say, a hammer and a frogspawn with nearly identical colors and patterns. Just for fun, let's take a look at this coral and let me know what type you think it is. All hammers, torches, and frogspawns can have one of two distinctive growth patterns: branching or wall. This difference is meaningful because it reflects on its growth rate and suitability for propagation. Euphyllias of the wall variety tend to be slower growing and more tricky to propagate. Now that we've talked about them a little bit, let's take a look at propagating the branching variety. I've chosen to demonstrate this using a saw, however other methods work just fine. The benefit to using a saw is that you get a very clean, straight cut, and it makes it easier for us to glue the cutting onto a frag plug or frag disc later. You can see clearly here how the coral branches like a tree. Buds form at the base of the polyp and grow into new heads over time. It's entirely possible for one to grow from a single polyp into a very large multi-head colony in about 12 to 18 months. As I mentioned before, you don't need a saw to do this. If you have bone cutters such as this, they'll work fine. We're in the habit of using iodine disinfectant to help with the healing process. In this particular propagation session, it might be a little bit of overkill because if you've noticed, we didn't actually break any of the flesh while we were doing the cutting. After patting the base of the new cutting with a paper towel to dry it out, we superglue it to a frag disc. This helps us organize them, and it also helps keep the coral standing upright. It does not take the glue long to set, and the rest of it can be cured underwater. Now that we've talked a bit about the branching Euphyllias, let's address the wall types. Unlike the branching Euphyllias, we prefer to use a saw because significant damage happens to the flesh, and it's better to have a clean cut whenever possible. Also, we're in the habit now of using salt water to cool the blades, and this reduces the stress on the coral. It's very important. Wall hammers, as you can see here, grow in a very different manner than the branching variety. They're typically slower growing on average, and they're tricky to propagate because there's rarely a convenient place to make an easy cut. Propagation techniques are constantly improving, but there's still a risk of losing a wall colony every time a propagation attempt is made because of how much damage you do to the flesh. If I had to guess, I would say that about 70% of the colonies make it just fine, but that still leaves 30% that didn't do so well. After spending some time in the iodine bath, we can place the cuttings back into the tank and hope they do well. It's always hard to tell because they look pretty rough, and they've actually been through a lot, so that's understandable. I went back the next day, however, and it's amazing how well they bounce back. They practically look like they weren't cut in the first place. That pretty much covers Euphyllia propagation. Thanks again for watching, and if you like these videos, please subscribe. Thanks again. Bye-bye.